Talk to me. WSRadio.com.
Accomplishment Coaching is proud to present the following fine programming. Accomplishment Coaching, where coaches lead and leaders coach. AccomplishmentCoaching.com.
Welcome back to The Coaching Show with your host, Master Certified Coach Christopher McCullough.
Well, you, my dear listener, are here on a special day indeed. I can't tell you how much I admire and respect and am impressed by our next guest. If there were 7 people I wanted to be in the world, he would definitely be one of them. Michael Bungay Stanier is a Rhodes Scholar and the first Canadian Coach of the Year, and that's not even the highlight of his resume. And let's be clear, if I were a Rhodes Scholar, I would still be wearing the sash. But he's the author of a number of books, and that's not even the thing he's most proud of. He's also the founder and I think senior partner of Box of Crayons, which you can find on the web at boxofcrayons.biz, which is an extraordinary, innovative organization. I can't even talk about it. We'll have to talk with him about it, but it helps organizations do less good work and more great work. He's worked with such clients as TD Bank, Kraft, Gartner, VMware, and in his, copious spare time, obviously, he's done things like created a book called End Malaria, a collection of articles about great work from thought leaders, and that has raised over $400,000 for Malaria No More and reached number 2 on Amazon.com. In addition, he's organized the Great Work MBA and done a bunch of other things as an extraordinary speaker, and we're delighted to welcome him back to our microphones. Hello, Michael.
Christopher, it's so nice. Well, first of all, I'm totally flattered by that introduction, which I will completely fail to live up to in being interesting enough in this interview. But I was just thinking, this may be the 4th time I've been on this show, so I'm so grateful that you keep inviting me back. I'm just waiting to make a mistake, so you're like, okay, I'm now done with Michael Bungay Stanier, but it's great to be back here and talking to you again.
Never happened. I'm waiting till you realize that we're trying to give you the show. That's what do it.
That's right. I'm about to launch a coup. I'm about to take over the show.
So, yes.
If only my name was pronounceable. That's the real challenge that I face.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's get that out of the way. So I say Stanier, but I think it's really, isn't it supposed to be Stanier or something?
No, you actually say perfectly, and that puts you in about a 3% cluster of people who now know how to pronounce my name. I once got a letter addressed to Professor Michael Banging Spaniel, which was honestly a low point. And honestly, nobody can do worse than that. Or nobody can do better than that. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, you're doing a great job.
Which is ironic because Professor Michael Banging Spaniel was the name of my 3rd jazz album, I think. All right, let's talk about, we're here on a special time because it's the birthday, the 1-year anniversary of your most recent book, The Coaching Habit, subtitled Say Less, Ask More, and Change the Way You Lead Forever. Let's talk about that book because it's very successful. It's very widely known. What's it about? What was the message in it? And why has it resonated so well with people, you think?
It's been amazingly successful. I'm just blowing my own trumpet here for a moment, but I spent 4 years trying to write this book and getting turned down by my publisher. I published other books with publishers, but I could not get a publisher interested in this book. And at a certain point I went, okay, I keep trying not to write this book, but it keeps insisting that it gets written. So I self-published it, which is always a gamble. It's easy enough to self-publish it. It's hard to sell books when you self-publish it. Mm-hmm. But we know we've sold over 180,000 copies in the first year, and it's basically been the number 1 book on coaching on Amazon for that entire year. So it's been fantastically, mind-blowingly successful, more successful than I really ever thought it would be. So I'm really excited about it. And at the heart of it, Christopher, is it's about a commitment to coaching, and we do most of our work at Box of Crayons within organizations, helping organizations make coaching part of the way that they operate. And of course, every organization does that, or at least says they do that, but it's hard to make that leap. And what we've discovered is we're not trying to train people to be coaches. We're trying to train managers and leaders to be more coach-like. Mm-hmm. And what that means is actually stripping away a lot of the stuff that comes with coaching or people's belief about coaching and making it as simple as possible. So the book, in its essence, chapter 1, here's how you build a habit. Because if you don't know how to build a habit, you don't understand behavior change, and behavior change is the engine of personal change. I mean, every coach listening to this needs to understand habit building, and if you don't, there's a ton of great resources from Charles Duhigg's book,
Yes.
Power of Habit, BJ Fogg, tinyhabits.com, Leo Babauta, Zen Habits, the first chapter of The Coaching Habit, all great resources on habit building. And then the rest of the book is say, here are 7 questions. If you have just 7 good questions, you can actually go far in a way of being more coach-like and having more impact in the way that you show up with other people.
Oh, this is very... This is reminding me of a recent podcast I heard with, I'm not going to say his name correctly, but Ricardo Semler.
Yeah.
You know him from...
Ricardo Semler from 7 Day Weekend, yeah.
Indeed, yeah. With
kind
his
of brilliant Brazilian maverick and one of the first thinkers about what are we doing at work and why are we treating people like children at work and how do we treat them like adults at work. I remember reading his first book 20 years ago and kind of having my head blown apart by it.
Yeah, a Brazilian guy who completely remade an organization. What I wanted to reference there was his the thing that I recall was the 3 whys. In other words, you ask why 3 times, and he says the first time everybody looks down their nose at you and sort of like, you poor idiot, right? Why do we do things this way, or why do we do this way? And everybody's like, well, because, and everybody knows the first why, but the second why gets a little more uncomfortable. And he said by the third why, people have no idea why they're doing those things. You know, and it's some version of because we always did, or somebody else told me, or something.
It's a great process.
Okay, so building habits, and then 7 good questions, or 1 good question 3 times, perhaps.
Well, look, let me build on that, because the second question, and we call this the most powerful coaching question in the world, is kind of a version of that, because the second question in the book is, and what else? And what else?
Yes.
Because the key insight is that the first answer is never the only answer, and it's rarely the best answer. And what most of us do is we go, oh, we've got a good answer, let's carry on, let's pursue that. And not being tempted and being seduced by that first answer is one of the most powerful disciplines of being more coach-like. So you said, you know, the 1 question 3 times, and what else, is actually a way of just making every question kind of stronger and more powerful and amplify its impact.
It's such brilliant stuff, and so necessary, so needed in any organization, any group. If it's a team of 2 people, we need this. Let's I would be remiss if I did not address your brilliant notion, the most creative idea I've heard in a long time, which is currently we're 1 day, 2 days away from the end of your coaching haiku contest.
That's right.
Please tell us all about that.
You know, this has been great fun, and if people want to enter, I think we've got a couple of days left. It closes on Friday, the 24th.
Yep.
So in the book, I actually wrote a short haiku. I said, look, if this book was a haiku, it would say something like, say less and ask more. Your advice is not nearly as good as you think it is, or something like that. Because one of the things that we're trying to deal with in organizational life is what we call the advice monster. You know what that is. As soon as somebody starts talking, you know what you need to tell them. You're about to add value by offering up your thoughts, your opinions, your guidance. And, you know, as we say, being more coach-like is just looking to slow down the rush to action and advice. But anyway, people really like the haiku. We got lots of nice kind of comments about it and tweets about it. So I thought, well, I bet you there's other people out there who've got coaching wisdom, because I love kind of tapping the wisdom of the crowd. So we've been running this competition. There's actually some great prizes. Like there's like real prizes. There's like a $1,700 Canadian, admittedly, $1,700 first prize for the best haiku, 5 prizes of $170, and then a bunch of copies of my book.
Wow.
$1,700. The 17's the magic number because a haiku has 17 syllables.
That's right.
5, 7, 5, and the 3 lines.
Right. We're not doing any of that 3-5-3 crap you learned in school, people.
No, we've got some discipline here.
7, 5. Everybody got that?
That's right.
Okay.
And if you go to boxofcrayons.biz or just search coaching haiku, you'll find this. And we've got great judging panel, Marshall Goldsmith.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, we've got like 17 of the best coaches in the world on the judging panel, so that's really cool. So it's been a whole lot of fun. I'm not entirely sure why I'm doing this, other than it just felt like a really fun project.
And so much of what you do is based in that, and it's infectious because of that. Okay, so let's finish this and let people know how to address that. So you go to boxofcrayons.biz, or you can just look for Coaching Haiku Contest.
That is I'm embarrassed to say I don't have a ready answer to that. I'm actually calling up a website right now going,
Nice.
How do you enter this?
How do I get in this thing?
Yeah, exactly.
All
if
right.
you, boxofcrayons.biz, B-I-Z or B-I-Z is the key website. And I'm got to think, and if you...
Yes, we'll all go there and find
you'll
it.
find it. Listen, Google Coaching Haiku. There can't be too much else out there.
If you can't find out how to get in this thing, then don't bother. Just keep your haikus to yourself. All right. But it's an extraordinary opportunity, and I love how whimsical it is, not unlike your socks. If I don't even have to see you to know that you've got some crazy socks on.
You are right. I am wearing my colorful box of crayon socks. You nailed it, Christopher.
Anything that you want to describe for our listeners? I'm reluctant to have this get into the what are you wearing territory, but...
I have 20 pairs of the same type of socks, and they're just multicolored. So these are like little window panes of different color, like a little explosion of color on my feet. It's great because A, everybody loves these socks, but B, I don't ever have to think about what pair of socks I'm wearing. I don't have to go, oh, is this going to match my outfit? I just these socks kind of do and don't go with every outfit that I've got, so I always wear them, and they become a bit of a trademark.
Nice. Michael, let's talk about... Oh, you know what? I'm going to talk... I had just talked about how whimsical you are, and I'm going to talk about my favorite product of yours. My favorite book of yours is Get Unstuck and Get Going on the Stuff That Matters. Will you tell people what this is? Because it's kind of a book, but not really.
Exactly. So this is the first thing I published, and so this is probably 10 years old now. And Peter Block, who is one of my heroes, a great leader in this kind of space, once said, look, coaching is not a profession, it's a way of being with each other. And so much of what we do is about trying to make coaching feel like it's a normal, accessible practice for everybody, not just kind of the special people who've done the training and become coaches. It's a way of being with other people. And Get Unstuck and Get Going is a self-coaching tool. So it's like a kid's flip book, where the ones where you have a soccer player's head and a football player's legs torso. And a scuba diver's torso.
Nice.
But here, rather than pictures, they're questions. So you open the book up and you can combine these flip sections into, I think, 50,000 different combinations. And when you bring a challenge to the book, the questions will kind of meet you where you are and provoke you to think differently. So it's about creating new ideas and new possibilities, because we know that when you have better possibilities, a wider range of choices, you make better decisions and you get better outcomes.
It's a brilliant masterwork of almost a childish or childlike creation that I can't tell you how often I've referred to it for a bit of inspiration, for a bit of distractification, or a bit of reorientation to. Because I tend to sit at my desk a lot thinking about things I should do that I don't want to. Any feedback that you've gotten from this? Anything that surprised you?
Well, I'm surprised. I'm not surprised, I guess, but I'm just delighted by how widely it's used. Some people use it for themselves, almost like an I Ching, kind of a way of showing up to the day, the world. Some people use it just for themselves, a bit like you were describing. Some people use it to actually coach other people. They'll go, okay, if that's your challenge, why don't you pick some questions? And what's nice about that is it's another way of helping drive autonomy and kind of empowerment in the conversation. And I'm such a big believer that the more that you can hand control and power to other people about their own lives, the more powerful your interaction with them will be. What that means, of course, is you need to give up power and you need to give up control. That's kind of the dark secret of empowerment, is it means you giving up control, which is hard, but you're doing it in service of a greater game, a bigger outcome, which is the other person stepping into their full sense of who they are and who they could be.
Beautiful. So many things we can talk about. One of the things I believe that you're very proud of it seems extraordinary in 2017, but malaria continues to be a destructive force in many countries around the world. It kills lots of people a year. I don't know the statistics. Do you?
I don't, but I know it's one of the UN's millennial goals to eliminate malaria. So it's one of those absolute priority health initiatives.
Yeah, thanks to
and great progress is being made, but there's still more work to be done.
And thanks to the internet, I have those statistics now. Over 1 million people a year, including 300,000 children in Africa alone. So it's, although we tend to think of it as something from another time, it's really not. It's from our time. You've created End Malaria, a collection of articles from thought leaders that is on Amazon right now, within the sound of anyone's voice right now. Tell me about Malaria No More and your commitment to this, of all the great causes in the world. Why this?
Yeah, so I read a book called Do More Great Work, and it's all about helping people do less good work and more great work. And great work is the work that has both more impact, so it makes a difference, but also more meaning. You know, it matters to you. And one of the encouragements in the book is to create a great work project, something that channels and focuses your energy and your commitment and your resources. So you're like, that's what I'm working on to bring my great work to life. And after I published Do More Great Work, I was like, okay, so I should probably follow my own advice and have a great work project. And I remember going to a cafe and going, okay, what could I do? What am I up for? And in kind of totaling up my assets, I was like, okay, so I know a bunch of people, and I'm good at kind of cajoling them into contributing and helping. Secondly, I want to make a global difference. I want to play big. And I did some research, and I found that malaria was one of those big millennial goals, and that I thought that the cheapest unit of change would be $10, because $10 buys a mosquito net.
Nice.
So the idea that landed in my head was buy a book, buy a net. And that was exciting. And then I went and pitched it to my publisher at the time. They're like, we like it, but it's hard and it's complicated. And it was hard because publishing is this kind of arcane industry where it's actually really tricky to kind of figure out where the money comes, and the money doesn't show up for a long time.
Right.
But then with Seth Godin, he spent a year in 2011 where he he published books in partnership with Amazon. And what that did in a single bound was cut through bureaucracy. And it meant that not only could we give all the profit of the book to Malaria No More, but we could give all the money to Malaria No More. So when you buy the Kindle version, 100% of that money goes to Malaria No More. When you buy the print version, and there's not that may even be out of print now, but not entirely sure. But like 95% of that money goes to Malaria No More. Or Amazon keep a little bit just to cover their printing costs. And it was pretty cool, you know. It got to number 2 on Amazon.com, as you said. But what was really wonderful was just the sense of a collective process to make a difference in the world. And also for me, there was just something about this is my project. I thought of it. I edited everything. I made it all happen with the support of Seth and his team. Mm-hmm. But it's not like my name is really on the cover. It's about, I just remember a quote which I love, which is, it's amazing what you can accomplish if you don't need to take credit for it. And I love that you mentioned it and brought it up. But part of what I'm proud about it is this isn't a big thing that is about building the Michael Bungay Stanier brand. It's about contributing to the world and finding people to help with that.
But as always with your work, it's inspirational. And we can actually, from the Greek I learned in your book, breathed by God, we can actually look for ourselves at how and where we can make a difference in the world. It's an extraordinary thing. I've just looked it up on your website, and it's out of print there, so it sends us to Amazon, where it's available in hard or paperback copies used, which means that the money won't go, I assume, to the thing. So what you want to do is
what's also
buy
great
the
about it,
Kindle
Christopher,
version.
is it's just a good book. I mean, there's just a lot of smart people writing smart articles there. So, you know, there's just, what I'm also proud of it, it's not just, it's a good cause, the book's a bit crappy, but it's a good cause. It's like, no, this is actually a really good book. There's smart people writing smart things in there.
Indeed. And speaking of smart people writing smart things, for people that may not know, do more great work or do more great work, yeah.
Tell
us about the distinction between good work and great work and what sort of got you started in this field.
Well, there's a quote that I love, Christopher, and it's inspiration is when your past suddenly makes sense. And I know that will resonate with a bunch of people where they're like, oh, that's why I did this or learned that or suffered through this experience. You kind of hit a point where you get to draw on your past to bring a better version of yourself coming forth. And there was a moment where my friend Kate sent me a photocopy, a single page from a book by a designer called Milton Glaser. And Milton Glaser is the guy who did the I Love New York logo, amongst many other iconic designs. And at the front of this book that Kate had photocopied, he actually said, look, there are 4 different types of work in the world. And that was an aha moment for me, because I suddenly realized that my background in coaching and in change management and innovation and all the self-work I'd done and all the organizational work I'd done found a hook to kind of articulate it and, if you like, a way of putting old wine into new bottles. And so we came up with this model kind of inspired by the Milton Glaser one, saying, look, everything you do falls into these 3 buckets: bad work, good work, or great work. Bad work, kind of the waste of time stuff. You know, in organizations, it's the mind-numbing bureaucracy. But it's all of that stuff where you're just like, why am I doing this? Does anybody even notice this? Is this one of those, I'm kind of doing it through momentum or guilt or confusion? Mm-hmm. Good work is best described as your job description. So whether you have a job in an organization or whether you're an independent solopreneur or whether you're a home carer, we've all got our own job descriptions. It's kind of the stuff you do to keep it all going. That's important. But it can also get a bit overwhelming. It can kind of consume your whole life. And then great work, as we said, work that has more impact and the work that has more meaning. And I know everybody's trying to eliminate the bad work. And it's worth perhaps being a bit more active about that, because it's like, figure out what your bad work is and then just stop it. But the real subtlety comes in trying to balance the good work and the great work. And my hypothesis is that most of us have too much good work. It just kind of fills the cracks of our living, waking hours. And we need to start saying no to some of the good work so that we can say a more bold, clearer yes to the great work. Because if you're just waiting for the great work to show up, it could be a long wait. And, you know, that whole piece around this is your one and precious life, own it, take control of it, make choices about it. Everything that, honestly, Christopher, coaching stands for, in some ways is a call to say, how can you help people do less good work and more great work? Because that's where they make a difference to the world, and that's where they find who they are as well.
Beautiful. Well, our time has flown by. We've got about 2 minutes left. I want to give you both of them. The first, if you would give us a bit of maybe 30 seconds on the Great Work MBA and how and where we can get involved with that. And then also the rest of the time for whatever you'd like to give us as a parting thought or a parting shot. Sure. What would you like 30,000 coaches or so to know today?
Well, that's amazing. And how awesome that over the years you've built such a fantastic audience of people coming to drink at the well here. That's a really impressive achievement, Christopher.
Well, they're drinking. We know that.
Yeah, and it really speaks to this is an aside, but I heard a metaphor the other day which is about the buses leaving the Helsinki bus station. And this is maybe good for the people listening in, which is that when you look at the route map for the Helsinki bus station, basically for the first 3 miles, all the buses follow one of 3 different routes. But it's only after that 3 or 5 miles that they start branching off on their own individual routes. And the metaphor in this article that I loved was most of us give up on our bus route too soon because we're like, we're just doing the same as everybody else. Uh-huh. But it's only when you actually stick with it that the journey really starts getting interesting. And part of what I would reflect in what you've done with this podcast and radio show is that, you've stuck on the bus. And what that allows you to do is get somewhere really interesting and get a huge audience of people who are fans of your work and the people you bring on. So it's a really powerful place to be. So maybe that's the thing to share, which is, we have work to do. It's never easy. If it's great work, it's not going to be a breeze. It's going to be a struggle. There are times when you're like, what's the point? There are times where you want to give up. And what you see in Christopher is somebody who's walked the path, continued to walk the path, And that's when it starts getting interesting. After you put in your time, after you start finding your voice, after you start finding your point of difference, after you start finding your tribe, that's when the magic happens.
Indeed. That is the great Michael Bungay Stanier. Michael, thank you so much for the amazing work you do. Go immediately to boxofcrayons.biz and get his books, find out about Great Work MBA and more. Well, that's another edition of the Coaching Show behind us. I thank you, dear listener, for being with us, and we will talk to you next week.
Your search for the right office furniture will be done when you walk into Shore for sure. In our 46,000 square foot warehouse, you are sure to find the right new or used desk and chair for your home and office. Trusted for over 40 years, Shore is proven to provide great value, quality, and service. From free space planning to our white glove delivery service, you are sure to leave happy and satisfied. We're a family-owned business that will treat you like family for sure. Se habla español.
Do you want to be a professional coach? Are you in business trying to make a real difference with people you manage or work with? Have you started a coaching practice that isn't quite getting off the ground? Get the skills you need to be a successful coach today with the Coaches Training Program from Accomplishment Coaching. The Coaches Training Program will show you how to help others focus and be more fulfilled. Whether you want to improve your company's bottom line or create a thriving coaching practice, Accomplishment Coaching can give you the distinctions and practices you need to coach others effectively today. Accomplishment Coaching has spent 6 years developing a cutting-edge coaches training program that will have you ready to coach people professionally in just 12 months, and you don't have to take time off work to do it. To find out more about the Coaches Training Program, just call 1-888-548-6813. That's 1-888-548-6813.
Hi, Scale listener. This is David Finkel, co-host with Jeff Hoffman of Scale Your Business. I wanted to let you know that our newest book, Scale, was just released and to encourage you to get your copy. The book will give you 7 proven principles to grow your business and get your life back. Scale will help you work less by getting your business to produce more. Get your copy online or at your local bookseller. For more information, visit us online at scaleyourbusinesstoolkit.com.
Cybersecurity is the fastest growing job sector. The San Diego Mayor's Cyber Cup encourages kids to consider computer security as an interesting course of study and a valuable career path. Securing Our eCity helps lead this youth competition to create interest and awareness among students and their schools. The San Diego Mayor's Cyber Cup. Learn more at securingourecity.org or call 619-630-2444.
Do you love wine, but it doesn't love you back in the morning? Then it's time to try Alcotox, the ultimate hangover cure. Alcotox is a dietary supplement that reduces the harmful side effects of alcohol, and it benefits all alcohol consumers, not just those who occasionally overindulge. So now, for less than the cost of a drink, you can wake up hangover-free. To learn more, go to vinvillage.com and let Alcotox make hangovers a thing of the past. 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 A thing